One of the most common questions I get in the comment section via email, Instagram DM, and everything else in between is, do you invest in crypto? In fact, that is the number one text message I receive from my friends today. Probably 3 people a week ask if I invest in crypto. I say no, ask if they invest in crypto, they say yes, and I then have to explain why I don't. So I figured I would make an entire video talking about why I do not personally, at this time, touch the blockchain. Now, I am not saying that you should not invest in crypto. I am not saying anything bad about the crypto community or about you if you do invest in crypto. This is my personal thought process, and maybe if you do invest in crypto and you hear a couple things I say today, you might be like, oh, and it could potentially save you from losing money. So first off, I just want to say a lot of these coins, I'm not talking about Bitcoin or Ethereum because those are considered the big boys, but a lot of these smaller coins, first of all, there's 10,000 in circulation, and first of all, most of them are scams and Ponzi's, which we will talk about, but there's nothing actually legitimate about them, as in there is no like cash flow. There was no real business, right? You invest in Coca-Cola. If Coca-Cola makes a good product, they make sales, you make money. To make money in crypto, essentially, when you make $1, you're taking that dollar from someone else because there's nothing actually behind it, right? So if someone makes $3 million overnight in profit and becomes a millionaire, where did that money come from? Someone had to lose $3 million. And that's not how the real stock market works. And a lot of these are unfortunately Ponzi schemes, like I said, we will talk about later. In, for example, the Squid Game crypto, where it was a complete fraud. The Save the Kids that had the entire FaZe clan promoting it. There's been so many, Logan Paul's Dink Doink. There are so many things like this, simple Ponzi-nomics. And the finance space, since I've been in it for about 6 months on YouTube, oh my God, I did not have that playing in the background. It is a manipulative, deceptive, and predatory industry. And in fact, 95% of the people I see with YouTube ads and gurus and people on the internet that are promoting finance stuff are scams, whether they know it or not. In fact, there's about 5 people I trust on YouTube only to give financial advice. For example, Graham Stephan, Bia Heza, Nate O'Brien, Andre Jack. Excuse me if I'm forgetting anybody, but you kind of get what I'm getting at. And let's just say this, if Tesla stopped making products today, their revenue would go down and then you would lose money. That's how, the stock market works. So here are some coins that people have. In fact, I made a video right here, and unfortunately, I cannot show you the like, the dislike, even with the backend software I have, but I promise you the dislikes are double the likes on this video right here. And everything I said in that video came true. Everybody was bagging on me because they didn't necessarily say I was a hater, because I was like, hey, if you invest in this, that's totally fine. That's up to you, but here's my opinion on it. I was basically saying, don't invest in things like Shiba Inu, Lord Edgecoin, and stuff like that. So I'm gonna pop up a couple coins right here of things that went up in hype, and they bubbled, obviously, because mainstream media was covering it, YouTubers were covering it, so it was driving a lot of attention. But then whenever these media outlets and YouTubers stop making money and getting views off them, they stop talking about that, and that simply alone crashes the bubble, pops it, and people lose money. Oftentimes, people give into FOMO. A lot of people are uneducated, they just want to get rich overnight, and they buy in, and a lot of people FOMO, fear of missing out. They buy in simply because they do not want to miss out on the next big money-making opportunity. So these coins are sketchy, and I always advise that you invest at your own risk. Now, a lot of people have made a lot of money, but those people who've made money, like I said, where do you think that money came from? A lot of people lose money. And in fact, over 95% of day traders, including with Bitcoin and Ethereum, lose money. 95%. So I understand this video is probably going to get a lot of flack in the comments below, but like I said, this is about why I do not personally invest in crypto. And maybe I will in the future, but here's the thing. I'm not looking for a get-rich-quick scheme. I have a legitimate media company. I have this growing brand on the finance niche. We just invested in a $12,000 studio, which is not just this. This cost about $300, maybe $500 with, well, actually, this shot is probably about a couple grand with all the equipment behind it, but we've got 4 other sets. So, I mean, I am blessed. Let's just say that I'm blessed. I'm fortunate to make a more than my fair share at 20 years old. So I'm not interested in this stuff. I'm gonna be honest, I'm kind of a coward when it comes to money. I do not like risking money, which goes against what every entrepreneur in the niche in this space say. They say, you need to completely risk everything. I mean, this is a game of risk and you have to invest everything you have. You have to spend 16-hour days. Here's the truth. To make money online and just make money in general, you don't necessarily have to drop out of high school, out of college. You don't have to invest your last $1,000 with Grant Cardone for his course. You do not have to quit your job. In fact, I work maybe 4 to 5 hours a day. And like I said, I make my fair share. You don't need to let go of what little money you have left, and you don't have to take huge risks. Now, when I first started, I was 17 years old, graduated high school early, moved 3 hours away from my parents' house, dead broke to start my YouTube channel and my clientele business, editing other YouTube videos. And I was dead broke, living on a couch for months. And that was a massive risk because I do come from a upper middle class family. My dad drives a Mercedes and we have a business together now. We have Lawyer Up. And I had a safety net. A lot of people don't have a safety net. A lot of people do that without a safety net. But in my head, obviously, I never took a cent from my parents. They offered everything because they're generous. They love me. But I didn't take anything. And in my head, it was life or death, even though in reality, it wasn't. And that was a risk. And now looking back, it's like, I don't need to do that. I could have just gotten a job and worked a business like this 4 to 5 hours a month for 6 months. And then I would be able to make a full-time income. So long story short, you don't have to risk everything to make a quick buck. That is probably the biggest lesson I've learned and disagreed with in this community and in this finance and entrepreneurship world is, the Gary Vee, it's like each for 20 to 30 years and grind 16 hours a day. That's not good for anybody, and you don't have to do it, and you don't have to take unnecessary risk. So with all of that out of the way, people then proceed to ask me, well, why do you not invest in crypto? And I've got 3 main reasons. Risk tolerance. I have probably one of the lowest risk tolerance. And if I were to talk to someone like Grant Cardone or Gary Vee or Tai Lopez, they'd probably be like, oh no, you need to risk it. Listen, no longer do I risk my money ever. When I put my money into something, when I invest in a $12,000 studio, I am going to make money. And in fact, I will pay this studio off this month. I'm going to, not pay it off. It's already paid for in cash, obviously, but just saying the return on my investment will be astronomical. When I put my money in something, whether it's in a new channel or in a business or in a blog or whatever, it's going to make money. If I put money in the stock market, it is going to make money because I can research the product. I can look at the history charts. I can see what they're doing. And if I believe in them and I think that their programs and everything they're doing, their products is going to be backed by real hard work and real success in the market, then I'm going to invest in it. I do not lose money. I will not lose money. I refuse to. So I have a really low risk tolerance, and I stayed away from Bitcoin when I realized, Bitcoin is probably the one that's considered the safest, but I realized that I don't need to risk money to make money. So for example, if you look at my media company, I don't just have one YouTube channel. I used to, that's how I started. I had one YouTube channel. So one YouTube channel, I have multiple streams of income. So let's just take this YouTube channel right here. I make money off AdSense. I make money off brand deals. I make money off of affiliate marketing. I make money off of selling my own merchandise. I make money off of course sales. So there's all sorts of streams of revenue. So I'm diversified. But I was like, well, what if this channel shuts down? So I have another finance channel that is my personal brand dedicated to making money online. And this is more finance news and more personalized stuff, if you will. So I have 2 channels. So the odds of me failing on 2 channels, or not failing, but like 2 channels going, like getting completely crushed by the algorithm or whatever, because at the end of the day, a YouTube channel is at the will of the algorithm. So I have a less likely chance to kind of go under. Well, then one of the first channels I started with this media company was I split my dad's channel 50-50. He was a lawyer, or he is a lawyer. He has all this legal advice and this information. And obviously I know how to grow YouTube channels, as we've proven here. But so I have 3 channels with 5 sources of income each. Well, that's not it. I also have a gaming channel that's just kind of there for fun. I stream on Twitch and upload the highlights. That's just one thing. But I also have another faceless personal finance channel that has nothing to do with my brand. So if I get canceled one day, I can still make money in the finance niche. And I also have another animated finance channel and the how to make money online niche. So I have 6 total YouTube channels with 5 sources of income each. So it's like, great, I'm diversified on YouTube, but what happens if YouTube goes under? Well, I also have blogs. I also work with clients and other things like that. So I am extremely diversified every step of the way. So long story short, my business is pretty much foolproof and bulletproof. That is one thing I talk about a lot on this channel is you got to bulletproof yourself and your business and your income. So that way you can sleep well at night and you don't have to have the unnecessary risk and stress. So the crypto market is extremely volatile, meaning it goes up and it goes down. I think 2 weeks ago was the last time I checked the Bitcoin price. It was $63,000. And then by the time I wrote this script a couple days ago, it was $53,000. And at the time I'm recording, it's $48,000. So here's the thing. If I were to, and we're talking about Bitcoin, we're not even talking about those extremely risky week-long coins, if you will. And these small coins go up, they go down, and they rarely ever go back up past their initial bubble. So when people get into FOMO, that's why over 95% of crypto day traders lose money. Now, number 2 is the high barrier to entry. So you're like, well, you can invest like $1 in Bitcoin if you want to. Well, here's the thing for me. The numbers range from $50 to $200 that my friends have invested, and some of them have actually doubled their money. But here's the thing. For it to be worth it for me to be able to put my time and effort and research into one of these coins, including Bitcoin, I would have to put in probably $10,000 and double my money to $20,000. So I'd come out with a $10,000 profit in, let's say, a week's time. That would pretty much be how worth it would have to be for me to do it. But here's the thing. If I had to risk losing $10,000, no way. Like I said, I hate losing money. Even though I could afford to, I absolutely hate losing money. I like building my wealth, and I don't like giving my money away, right? So yeah, like I would have to invest a lot of money for it to make it worth it for me, but it would be not as exciting. So let's say the reward of making the $10,000 is nowhere near the pain I would feel if I lost that $10,000. So it's a high barrier to entry, really high risk. It's so volatile, and I'm just not into that. And number 3 is speculative investing. So if you are familiar with what is it called? Oh, The Intelligent Investor. Warren Buffett, the #1 investor in the world, said that his #1 favorite investing book is The Intelligent Investor, so obviously I had to read it. It's like this thick. I lost it. I don't know how. It's like a brick. I don't know how I lost it. I have all my books besides that one. No idea where it went. Anyway, it's a great read if you're looking to start investing. But the #1 thing, one of the very first things you start learning when you read that book is what's called speculative investing, aka gambling, which essentially is what crypto is because it's not really backed by a company. It's essentially when you invest in something without doing the proper research and just kind of risking all your money to it. So speculative investing would be something like buying a new coin that you see Elon Musk tweet about and buying it trying to get rich overnight versus finding a mutual fund and investing in that for the long-term gains. In fact, one of my friends invested in a crypto, because his coworker did make $50,000 doing it, but keep in mind, someone else had to lose $50,000 or a group of people had to lose $50,000 to make that. And he was like, yeah, I doubled my money. And I was like, okay, what made you invest in that? And he's like, well, I have no idea what it is. I'd never heard of it, but my coworker told me to invest in it just because. And he said, F it, that's why. And that's speculative investing at its finest, folks. And investing in crypto is about as speculative as it gets. Now, I understand that a lot of people are saying, hey, it's a great way to transfer money. It's going to be the currency of the future. But we'll talk about that. Now, you hear all the time about the winners. Rarely do you hear about the losers. And I guarantee if the media and everybody came out and talked about every time they lost money, it would completely flood your attention and nobody would ever see the winners because there are so many losers. So keep that in mind. It's not everything is cracked up to be just because you see it on the internet. And that goes for everything. I don't immediately trust the media headlines because they talked about how Squid Game token was going crazy. No one said anything about a potential Ponzi scheme. And of course, the investors lost $3.3 million and the original creators ran away with it and no one can find them. So I don't give into FOMO. I do not immediately trust media headlines, and nor should you. And that goes for really everything. Because at the end of the day, they're trying to drive clicks. And that's how they make their money, through advertising, similar to me. If a non-financial YouTuber tries to tell you to buy an NFT or a crypto, that is a red flag for a scam, and we've seen it over and over and over and over, and we're still seeing it, so watch out for it. And here is my personal opinion. Now, I'm not a professional on Bitcoin, but a lot of people are saying that Bitcoin is the currency of the future. But here is my issue with that, personally, in my unprofessional opinion, at least for this. Okay, let's forget about I know the price of Bitcoin right now is like $48,000, right? Let's forget that. Let's just say one Bitcoin is worth $1, just for the sake of the example and simple numbers. So let's say I go to the bakery and I buy a sandwich for 1 Bitcoin, but the next day that sandwich is worth 3 Bitcoin. Well, I don't want my money to be all over the place and be unpredictable, right? I don't want to be able to go to the grocery store one day. I have to spend, let's say, $50, and the next day I have to spend $5,000 for the same stuff because the price goes up and down like crazy. Now let's say I bought a house in Bitcoin, and this is just right now. I'm not saying in 10, 20, 30, 50 years that it won't be stable, but right now, the people who are saying it's the currency of the future now. Let's say I buy a house for 5 million Bitcoin, right? 5 million Bitcoin, just bought myself a nice mansion. First of all, if it was the real price of Bitcoin, that would be like an entire country, but we're just saying $1 per Bitcoin just for the sake of the example. So I bought a mansion for 5 million Bitcoin. And the theory is that my real estate will appreciate over time, and in 5 years, I will actually have 7 million Bitcoin, and I've made a 2 million Bitcoin profit. Now that's what happens with real estate investing, and that's why people do it. And in fact, it's made the most millionaires in the entire world. But let's say if your currency is extremely volatile, by the time you want to sell or have to sell or whatever, your house was worth 5 million Bitcoin when you bought it, but then it was actually worth like 2 Bitcoin by the time you sold it because it crashed and Graham Stephan stopped talking about it, right? So these influential people. Well, you would not be very happy. Anyway, that is why I don't personally invest in crypto. Let me know down in the comments below some counter arguments. That's really what I encourage on this channel, is open discussion. So I greatly appreciate it. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next video, and thank you for hearing me out. And I hope I answered some questions that you might have had about crypto, or at least my opinion of it. Thanks for hanging out. I will see you in the next video. Also, before we leave, CoffeeZilla made an awesome YouTube rewind of all of the crypto scams. I highly recommend you check it out. Link is in the description.